we're halfway there.
Whoa!
Living on a
Oh, am I
prayer.
supposed to say
Maple
that
Leaf
part too?
fans, we can make it, I swear. Whoa,
Whoa!
living on a prayer. That's right, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
definitely
The
butchered
Maple Leaf
it.
fans are living on a prayer. Morgan Riley picking up the OT winner over the Greasy Bolts. Let's go. We got producer Clark in the house. Pete the Heat Leafston 5-man himself. Let's go. This is Offside Hockey Talk, brought to you by Boxing Rock Brewing Co. What do you guys think? The Leafs take the 2-1 series lead. Living on a prayer. It's Leafs Nation. Let's go.
Yeah, we definitely butchered that opening, but that's okay.
We're
Hey,
still
listen,
fired
we're
up.
not musicians.
No, I didn't get invited on this podcast for my singing ability.
Let's go. What do you guys think of last night? Obviously, we'll unpack the entire game, everything we haven't talked about so far since our last rendition of the Offside Hockey Talk podcast. But I will tell you right now, I love the fact, what have I been saying all year about Austin Matthews? If he just dropped the flippers once, people would take him a little bit more seriously. And you know what? It took a few snuggy snugs to the face for him to finally do it, but he looked pissed. And he also looked like, hey, you know what? I could handle myself if I have to here. He didn't get the opportunity because they both fell down. But even my father-in-law, who's the biggest Habs fan, said if that big boy got a hold of Stamkos, he was going to fill him in because he is a guy that probably he gets some things done with the fist. But we don't want him doing that. But it's still fun to see because it's playoff hockey. Even Kyle Dubas leaning over the barrier, telling Tampa fans to go themselves and to get the hell out of here. Loving it. Guys, what did you think of the game as a whole before we break it down and get into the minutia?
We're going to break down last night's game first, though, right?
Oh, yeah. We're breaking down last night's game first.
I'm going to say right off the bat, like, it is so nice for once that we see this sort of game flipped and that the Leafs win this kind of game because we're so used to watching the Leafs dominate a game and then they end up losing it in overtime. I can't remember last time they won in overtime. I don't think they won one last year, so it's like in the playoffs. But that was very refreshing. Watching Austin Matthews fight was interesting. Like, it kind of pissed me off. But my favorite part of that was the stat line that the broadcast dropped, where in the first time in NHL history, you have 260 goal scorers getting into a fight, which is pretty interesting. But good game. The Leafs didn't play their best game, but they got the W, and that's all that matters.
That's it, Clarky. What do you think?
Yeah. So first of all, I love the Kyle Dubas videos that are flying around, and everybody's saying like, "Oh wow, what a classy GM of a team." And as I put a comment on one of the videos that I saw, I was just like, "Hey guys, listen, class goes both ways." So to me, Kyle Dubas doesn't strike me as the type of guy who just would yell at a fan for no reason. He was getting harped on and chirped at the entire game. I can almost guarantee it. And the fact that he like clapped back a little bit, especially after, because I'm pretty sure the big one where you saw him like really pointing at the guy, I think was like after the game tying goal. I'm not sure for that. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen any timelines on that, but the fact that he was like, "Yeah, buddy, fuck you," that made my day so much.
We need John Boy to do the lip sync on that because I need to know what he was saying.
Yeah, totally. But anyways, I think for those either Tampa fans or just general hockey fans that are saying that Kyle Dubas needs to chill or that he's not classy, like, again, it goes both ways. Class goes both ways. If he was provoked, I think if he would have been just sitting there getting yelled at, everyone would have said he was a wuss. So like there was a no-win situation, but I'm glad he took that way because it's like I just hope it pays off in the long run in terms of like he doesn't get like gift like he doesn't get like gift made out of it and then it turns into a thing that anyways. The Matthews thing, I actually like during the live stream I was like that's got to be like one of the only times that 60 goal scorers have ever fought each other, and then it came out that it was, so that's hilarious too. I also love like the John Cooper stuff that's flying around.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into every single little bit of it.
So yeah. Anyways, I'll wait for that part. Then I'll save it. But really, really intense game. Second period was awful. Third period, for the most part, not much going on, but it turns out the Leafs outshot the Lightning in the third period, which I thought was really interesting. And then, I mean, if they didn't get off to as good of a start as they did, they probably would have lost that game. So the fact that they did get off to a pretty good start is encouraging, given the fact that what happened after in game one, where it was just awful. So continue those good starts, and good teams find ways to win, and that's what the Leafs did on Saturday night. So it wasn't pretty, but it's 2-1 for the good guys now, not the other way around. I'll take it.
That's the way it's always supposed to be, though, right? Good teams apparently find ways to win. The Maple Leafs did that last night. I said to you in your live stream, Clark, when we were live, just me and you, that the Toronto Maple Leafs, when they have a bad second period, they usually turn it up a little bit in the third. They took all the way to almost the last minute of play to do it, but they tied it up. And who other than Ryan O'Reilly, the guy they went out to get for the playoff experience, gets it done, gets on the board, solves the issue. And then the overtime goal, guys, in the last minute of OT, who better to get it than the guy who's been this city's proverbial whipping boy this season, can do no right, scores the overtime winner, and you hear the haters go on the screen. Last night for me was a game, and it's been said many times today, that the Maple Leafs usually lose. It's a game they usually end up giving up the lead. They don't battle back. They don't tie it. They don't win in OT. Those are the games the Leafs have been known to habitually lose. And for once, they've broken through. And also, here's the other thing. Physical play. Say what you want, Tampa Bay fans, that the Leafs are weak, and you want to see the clips flying around about Maroon and all these guys chirping Shen, calling him softest baby shit and all this stuff. Listen, the Leafs have gone toe-to-toe with every single player that stood up and wanted to go. Whether it's Hall, who got tackled to the ice, doesn't matter, still dropped his flippers. Giordano, if he connected with one of those punches to Bogosian's face, I guarantee you his nose would be in another fucking state. So guarantee that. He was swinging with haymakers. And then you have what? Who else is in there scrapping it out? It's all over the ice. It's great to see guys. You know, Morgan Riley didn't maliciously hit Point, and now they're like, oh well, you know, Braden Point may not play Game 4. Okay, it was a hit. It could have gone either way. The shit that I don't like is what Kucherov did, and I don't like at all what Austin Matthews did. I think that was Bush League. What Stamkos did to Austin Matthews. Sorry, mixed it up there, getting a little bit too passionate. But to do that stupid...
Yeah, screw Austin Matthews for picking up those sticks.
Guy stinks.
And just cleaning up sticks and stuff. What an asshole.
It was crazy, though. Like, he had 3 sticks in his hand. How was there no extra... That's what I want to know. How is there no extra penalty to Steven freaking Stamkos? There should have been one, but there wasn't. Only Kucherov got a penalty.
I couldn't believe that they got a power play out of that situation, just in general. Like, I know that it was messy and everything, but the fact that the Leafs came out of that with a power play, I was in my live stream. I was like, okay, sure, great, let's do it, sweet. But like Sheldon Keefe, his quote is perfect on that. Like the fact that he's called them out and said they were manipulating the officials on that one, knowing that somebody's getting a power play out of this, and since the Leafs are down, why not take O'Reilly, Riley, and Matthews off the ice for the entire power play and longer?
For 9 minutes.
I thought that was really smart on Stamkos' part. And, like, I don't blame him at all. I mean, I don't love the situation, but how can you blame him for at least putting his team into that situation? Because it ended up helping out in that regard. I know long-term they lost the game, but that specific situation, it paid off. And the one thing that I really wanted to point out, and if we could go back to where you were talking about how they were chirping at the bench and everything.
Yep.
Who was the guy that went out there and mediated the entire situation? It was Luke Schenn. He was standing there taking all of it. He took all of it. He threw out a couple back. He was standing there sheriffing the whole situation. And what did the Tampa Bay Lightning do afterwards? Zero. Not one thing. No fights. Tanner Jeannot threatened to fight Luke Schenn. Didn't. Patty Maroon said he was going to kill somebody. Didn't. Brandon Hagel was in there just being Brandon Hagel. Nothing happened because Luke Schenn was there. Luke Schenn was there with the sheriff hat on saying, all right, okay, sit down.
You're
Be humble.
irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
That
hilarious.
was funny.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to shout out Luke Shen in that because I don't think anybody's going to really give him a whole lot of credit for that scenario and how it kind of played out long term. There was no fights afterwards, and I have a really strong feeling that that's because Luke Shen was kind of in there putting his body in the way and saying, listen, I'll take everything you got. None of you are going to touch me. Guarantee it. And I think that was handled really well by him. So shout out to Luke Shen for that.
Well, he's brought in for that stuff, right? He's brought in not just for the fisticuffs or the physical play, but also being a deterrent for that stuff not to happen. You know, it's the reason why we so much want Wayne Simmons to be in the lineup at times, because he brings that element of no, you will not, and no, you shall not touch my players, or I'll beat the brakes off you, whether you're my friend, Patty Maroon, or not. And I love the fact that the new guys, and I'll still call them new guys, Lafferty, O'Reilly, McCabe, doesn't matter. Go down the list. Shen as well. They've all got the backs of the guys they're playing with. There's no standing off. And for everybody who's sitting there saying, Mitch Marner watched Steven Stamkos attack Austin Matthews and did Dick All, what is Mitch Marner going to do? What is he really going to do? Do y'all remember when Alex Semin tried to defend someone and beat up
gloves on,
but he flippered Evgeny Malkin? That's what it would be. Marner is not there. He will not fight. He's not going to go and start heaving guys off. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's not the most hulkiest guy either. So no, he's not a coward. And the other part of it too is a smart person would think, there's a situation happening. If I inject myself into it, I am now the retaliator, and I'm going to get a penalty, and my team is going to be shorthanded because everybody's already paired up and I'm not. There's the smart way to look at it, but everyone's like, oh, Marner's such a wimp. He wouldn't touch anybody. He wouldn't do anything. Well, there's a reason, and he doesn't need to. Everybody's already in the fracas. Why put yourself in there and put your team even more shorthanded? Imagine Marner, Matthews, O'Reilly, and Riley in the box. Doesn't sound very good.
No. One other thing, too, this doesn't have to do necessarily with this fight scenario, but I heard a quote, and I want to say it was from maybe Ryan O'Reilly after the game. And I just thought that this was really timely given the fact that a lot of complaints came in at the end of the season with Sheldon Keefe mixing up the lines like almost every game. Why isn't Ryan O'Reilly on the third line? You know, they're mixing up this guy with this guy. Kerfoot's in the top six. Oh no. One thing that I think it was O'Reilly after the game was asked about, because in the overtime, if you guys noticed, like everybody was playing with everybody in overtime. Like they were throwing everything. The lines were out the window. They were just mixing it up. Nyes was out there with with Matthews and Marner at one point I saw. Everybody was mixing up. And O'Reilly said, yeah, it was a good thing that we mixed it up so much in the regular season because we're all comfortable with each other now. And that's what I tried to keep telling people, like, you know, these mixing and matching of lines during this last 12 or 15 games or whatever it was, this is only going to pay off because these guys are just getting used to each other. So many of them are new. You might as well get them to play on a line for a game or two together just to let them get comfortable with each other. And lo and behold, look how the final goal happened with Morgan Rielly shooting it from the point, but Matthew Nyes was in front of the net. You know, with that awesome screen job, even though it went the other way, he was on one side, the shot was the other way, but either way, he was battling in front of the net. And it was just such a great thing to see. But I really wanted to just kind of point that out, that all those line mix and matches that everyone was really getting like fire Keefe about actually paid off. So it worked out. I just really need to point that out because I thought I was taking crazy pills at the end of the regular season when I was like, why is everybody complaining about this? This is probably good. Like why is this a bad thing? And then it paid off in the overtime tonight or last night. So I just thought that was really interesting.
Can we go back to Matthew Nyes for a second? How freaking good does he look right now? Like I don't know about you guys. I was expecting him just to be there, you know, like he is being an impact player. And Sheldon Keefe has, yes, James, I know you can point to yourself because you might have called it, but I wasn't expecting him to. Sheldon Keefe has so much belief in this kid. He's putting him out with Matthews and Marner right now, and he looks so damn good. He looks like a younger Austin Matthews out there with the stick lifts, I mean, he's getting a little cocky out there. That one bad giveaway blue line had me
Mhm.
cringing, but man, he looks so good, guys.
Yeah.
He looks very good. The one thing that I really like about Matthew Nyes is what we see in the last 3 regular season games as well, is his ability to position his body between him and the puck and allow stick lifts and just be very physical. And if you notice last night, 1 second, guys. If you notice last night, there was a lot of times when he stripped the puck and he put his body in front of where he was going, so the player couldn't immediately go after the puck again. And he charged through a couple of times and was able to get towards the net. So he's really familiar with using that big frame to shield the puck. And I'm not saying he's this player, so don't jump on me, but a la Yarmer Yager used to do with the big frame and the weight, right? Nobody was knocking him off, but he knew also how to position the body, so he kept possession of the puck and could drive the lane he wanted to drive. The one play, Pete, you're talking about where he dipsy doodled 1, 2, and then the third time got caught. I liked how Ryan O'Reilly got the puck back, bailed the kid out, cleared the zone, but shot a glare at him like, don't do that in your own zone.
Yeah.
Get it over the line and out. Simple plays in the playoffs. Do it in the
Not
offensive
playing in
zone.
Michigan anymore.
Yeah. Do it
Or
in the offensive
Minnesota.
zone, not in the D zone, buddy. And he just gave him a little glare after he cleared the puck out of the zone, like, this is what you need to do.
Well, and that's why it's such a perfect line mate for him to have. And even Noel Achari, too. Like, those guys are the kings of accountability, those two. And to have them on a line with him right now at this point in his young career, like, that's such a perfect pair for him. And
it's 3 heavier guys, too, playing together, right? It's not,
sure.
You know what I mean?
Heavier guys, but smart. Like, Noel Achari, he might seem like he's just a run and gun, like, I'm going to hit everything that moves. And for the most part, he is. But he's a smart hockey player. He's been a fringe hockey player for his whole career, and he's made a good, decent living out of it.
Yeah.
And Ryan O'Reilly, I mean, he's the king of consistency and reliability, and you're going to put this young player who has tools with those guys. I mean, it's just gonna ooze all this experience and all this like good, these tips and positive notes and everything are just gonna ooze all over for Matthew Knight. So I think it's a really good way for him to like learn by fire, but also like learn with some of the best that he could learn from. I think Ochari's going to give him tips on how to play a heavier game, and O'Reilly's going to, be able to coach him through those times that, the hockey IQ stuff might not be quite there. Ryan O'Reilly's perfect for that. So I just can't, I can't think of a better couple of guys, maybe outside of John Tavares, to be on a line full time.
Petey, hold on. Did you both just hear what Clark just said? Achari's got a new nickname, Ochari.
Ochari. There's too many O's.
You called him Ochari. I was like,
apostrophe Chari.
I love it.
Go ahead, Pete. I just wanted to get that in there.
Shoot, what was I gonna say? Yes. The Bunting suspension is kind of a blessing in disguise here. Where the hell does he like? I don't see Nyes coming out of the lineup. When Bunting's done his suspension, where do you fit him in here?
4th line. I already said it.
4th line.
Take out Lafferty.
Pair him up with Perry.
No, but imagine your bottom line. Your bottom line is David Kampf, Zach Aston Reese, and Michael Bunting. What a pain in the ass line.
Yeah, but I feel like Lafferty's done enough and that line as a 4th line, I feel like has done enough that I don't know if you break him up. Like it's such a weird scenario because Michael Bunting was the literally 1st line left winger to start this series, and I'm having a really hard time, like Pete just said, like. I'm having a hard time figuring out where he slots back in.
That's the only way I'd put him in the lineup.
The only other way I could see it is if they somehow decide to bench Kerfoot and they put him in the top 6 again, where Kerfoot was playing last game. Because if you guys noticed, Kerfoot didn't play a ton in the overtime. I think he had a few shifts, but
the second line wasn't very good.
Yeah, like that's why I think they were mixing up Matthew Nyes in the top 6 a little bit in the overtime because
they were.
I want to say he's past the depth chart a little bit on Kerfoot, and not that Kerfoot doesn't have a spot on this team because, like I've said all year, Keith loves the guy. He puts him out in a lot of situations where a lot of guys probably wouldn't do well. He's in there for the penalty kills and everything. I don't know where you put Bunting, to be honest. And does Sheldon Keefe have any trust in that guy anymore? That's the other thing is, can he put him out there with thinking that they're going to not be on a penalty kill if he comes back off? Like, that's the other thing you have to think of is it's not just, is he better than these guys? Is it, can the coaching staff trust the guy to not get suspended again. Like, that's kind of where we're at now with him.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, liability be damned. He's only been suspended once. I know
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
the reputation precedes him. Obviously, he gets a lot of penalties now. He's not the ref's favorite, etc. Go down the list, all these different things. At the end of the day, Michael Bunting is a talented hockey player who can keep up with some of the best players that we have on this team and is shown to be able to do so. The problem I have, though, is you do not re-interject him into this series. Why? Because you know Tampa is going to go after him, and they're going to do all the pesky little garbage crap that's going to get under his skin. He's going to be chirping or swinging or punching or all this stuff, and he's going to get thrown out of the game, or he's going to get thrown in the box, like you said, and that'll be the problem. So for me, I think Michael Bunting is best for round 2. And yes, I am putting the cart before the horse. The Leafs are getting it done this year. Leafs in 5 is a real thing. But Bunting, for me, I look at this lineup and say, guys, why mess with anything right now? If you have a bad game tomorrow, then maybe you reevaluate the fact that you have Bunting in your back pocket, or you look at the entirety of tomorrow night's game and say, X player, maybe it's Kerfoot, maybe it's Nyes, didn't have a good game. Let's throw Bunting in there for the boost, the spark, for whatever. You know, that's the way you might do it. But tomorrow night, from what I'm hearing through the grapevine, is Wes McCauley will be the referee.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently,
look out, Leaf Twitter.
He's reffing apparently game 4 and potentially game 7.
Wow.
Of course he is. Well, we won't need to get to game 7, so that's good.
So I'm just saying that could be not a fun thing, but at least if he does come back Bunting for game 5, whether the Leafs are up, down, any which way you want to slice it, he will not be facing Wes McCauley again. But
Eric Chernak has already been out they've already ruled Eric Chernak out for game 4.
Game 4, he's out.
I haven't seen anybody else, but I know that for sure it's Chernak. He's ruled out.
Let's get into the news and notes. So the Leafs will be healthy. Everyone is good to go. They will not be apparently making any lineup changes that we know of substance. So we'll see. Wayne Simmons is skating with the team, but I don't think he gets in, guys. I really don't.
Yeah, and on that, not on Wayne Simmons specifically, but on the lineup changes and the lack of lineup changes, saw a lot of people calling for Timothy Liljegren to get in the game, especially game 2. Not as much going into game 3, but still saw it. Since game 1, like, listen, I know Justin Hall was on the ice for a bunch of goals in game 1. Not going to sit here and say that Justin Hall had his best game of all time. But since then, last 2 games, Justin Hall has been blocking shots. He's been playing an important role, as he has all season. Exactly. And I think Justin Hall has, again, cemented himself in the lineup for me. And I don't know what else does he have to score goals? Like, he's got to score goals, I think, in order for any fans, a bunch of fans to get off his back. I don't know what else the guy can do. He's out there laying his body on the line the last 2 games, doing a great job on the penalty kill on one of the most potent power plays in the league historically. And he's out there doing a great job. And on a shutdown pair, doing a pretty solid job for most of the game. I don't know what else this guy has to do, because all the things he does are unsung, and nothing that he does positively will ever negate or take away that blush that he has on his resume, because a big chunk of this fan base just can't get over it. That he had a couple of goals against while he was on the ice in the first game, and he had like a couple giveaways early in the season. So it's but whatever he does, it's like he can't do enough positive things to get out of that doghouse, and I just don't think he ever will. But
I think if that one that hit the post last night went in, and he was the OT hero,
can you imagine?
I forgot about that.
He would have been he would have been very easily lauded as the savior for Leafs Nation. But it is what it is with Justin Hall. Another defenseman. I mean, this came up around here right now. TJ Brody not looking the best last night.
One of the worst games he's had, and we're not used to seeing that from one of our best defensemen, just solid defensively. Like, TJ is like, he's never talked about because he does his job so well. He's not here to score goals. He just shuts teams down. And unfortunately, he kept giving the puck away last night. Like, they were just brutal giveaways. It looked like he was playing with a broomstick out there, but not used to seeing that. TJ, he'll come back.
Well, that's the good thing about TJ Brody and Clark. I'll let you touch on this too. Is usually when he does have a bad outing, he holds himself accountable, a la like Ilya Samsonov does, or other guys on this team. But he holds himself to a higher standard. And the next game he comes out, he's usually the guy first sliding down in his belly, breaking up a 2-on-1, sending the Leafs the other way. So I think the bounce back game for TJ Brody will be there. The big question here for the Toronto Maple Leafs going into tomorrow night's game. Obviously, we talked about Eric Cernak not being available, but now Braden Point is a day-to-day game time decision now because of that injury. I think that's more gamesmanship than anything by the Tampa Bay Lightning. But we all have to remember, Victor Hedman is a one-legged man, okay? He's not 100% Victor Hedman. And I'm very firm on this belief, and I don't care what anybody says. If you know a guy is hurting, it's old school playoff hockey. You lumber him with as much body and stick work as you can. And don't tell me players don't do it. We've had multiple on this show, whether it's GMs, coaches, ex-players, current players. They all say the same thing. If you find an injury, you attack it. You go after it. You hit the guy a little harder. You put a little extra juice into your shot, whatever it is. If he's blocking a shot and you know he's going to block it, you laser it. And you laser it into where it hurts. And that's what they need to do tomorrow to Victor Hedman. I'm not saying hurt the guy, but I'm saying make him feel every shift. It's a war of attrition. Make it feel that way. Make him not want to be out there. Make him want to quit. That's what they're going to do to you. That's exactly what they're going to do to you. So why not get there before they do? And that's exactly what I feel tomorrow. I think the Leafs tomorrow come out, and it's going to be a tight game. 3-1. The Leafs will be up 2-1 most of the game. They'll score an empty net, and it'll be a 3-1 game.
It's a bold prediction.
Love it. You remember when Erik Karlsson came back from his big injury and everybody found out that he couldn't pivot to the left? So everyone just skated around him to the left because he couldn't do it.
Yep.
I feel like that's something that the Leafs have got to do. Just constantly go in if they know what knee it is or what leg it is or whatever it is. Go that way. Make them turn that way over and over again and just make it, like you said, keep pounding it. Just keep going. Make them turn. Make them turn. Make them turn. And just keep. And then by the 10th or 15th or 20th time he does it, he's going to get sick of it or it's going to start hurting more and more and it's just going to get worse. So that's, I think, one way that they can do it with a guy like Victor Hedman because he's so solid every other way. I don't think that hitting him is going to necessarily make it worse. I think especially if it's a knee or a ligament of some kind. I remember I'm using my personal experience here again from Adam Brooks. Shout out to Adam Brooks. I got his jersey over here. But, yeah, in the playoffs in the year we were with the Pats, he was knocked out in one of the games against Swift Current the year we went to the finals. And he basically, he didn't tear his MCL, but he, hurt it pretty good. And he could have played, but, it would have been 50, 60%, at best. And so he waited and came back a little bit later. But that was the big thing is it was his pivoting and his crossovers and stuff, they weren't as strong. So if it's an MCL, which I'm not saying it is, but if it is something like that, if it's a ligament specifically, and you can figure out the way that it doesn't work because ligaments all pushing off to the side is a ligament, pushing backwards is a ligament, turning your knee is a ligament. So if you can figure out kind of what ligament it is, I'm serious. If you can figure out the specific one and you can kind of figure out the best plan of attack to manipulate that, I think that's the way. And with the Leafs sports science guys on staff, I imagine they already have. They probably already know what it is. So I'll let them figure that out. But I think that's one of the better ways you can attack this guy.
So tomorrow, obviously, we'll look at a guy like Andrei Vasilevskiy and say he doesn't have very many bad outings, but this series so far, first game, 3 goals, second game, 7 goals, third game, 4 goals. He's giving up too many. So, I mean, either tomorrow night is a return to form for Andrei Vasilevskiy or the Leafs just have his number, which they did last year as well. But they weren't able to get the kill strike like they got last night. So now you go into this game. I think tomorrow is more of a must-win than Game 2 and Game 3 was for the Maple Leafs. Because I think you need to take a stranglehold on this series and really put your foot on Tampa's neck and give yourself the most opportunities to get the damn job done. And that's why I think tomorrow night is a very pivotal game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And a lot of people may disagree with that. I don't want to be 2-2 with Tampa.
No.
I want to be up 3-1. I want to go home. I want to have a cup of tea. I want to shower. And then I want to whoop Tampa's ass and go on to the next round after game 5.
Yeah, and especially if you can take both from Tampa, I mean, the amount of confidence that gives you if it does happen to get to a game 6, I think is so important. If you know that you've beat them twice in their house in the last week, then I think that changes the entire attitude of what that potential, hopefully not needed game 6 brings. But don't let it get to game 6. Just end it.
Yeah.
No, just end it. Keep that pressure. Keep your foot on the pedal. All those things that you would hear, all the cliches about winning. Just do the damn thing. They can do it.
Just win this series, please. But I think they're going to come out better. They were garbage last night. They know that. They know they got to be better. I think they come out flying tomorrow night. And if they can get the first, I think they're going to run away with it.
I really do. And I tell you guys this all the time, especially down in Tampa. Tampa knows how to run their building and really get the fans into it. So that first 5 minutes of every period is very pivotal. And I say that because you got guys that will go and run the team through the glass and get the fans into it. If that building is crazy and raucous and loud and every single hit is just amplified that much more by Tampa, it's going to be hard for Toronto to capture that mo. But if you get out there, lay a couple licks yourself and pot a cheap one in there, like Mitch Marner did in game 2 real early, that's the way you got to do it. You really got to take it to them, take the building equation out of it and make it in your favor. The Leafs can do it. That's the way it's going to be done right there. And tomorrow night, Samsonov, he's going to stand on his damn head. And anybody who says Samsonov has not been good, please put that notion to bed. He's the only reason why we won last night, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. We need to start. The crowd needs to start chanting Sammy. Like I tried doing it while I was at the game, game 2. But
they only know Sonar, Sammy. Bro. Come on, now.
Sonar. So one of the two. We got to cheer our guy on. He's our brick wall in net right now, man.
Listen, in regards to Tampa and Clark, I said this to you, Chris Weigel, Myron, and I forget, and who else was on there with us? I think it was the 4 of us, wasn't it? It was the 4 of us. But anyways, there was somebody else.
It wasn't Myron, though. Or wait, Myron.
It was Myron.
Yeah, it was just the 4 of us.
But anyways, I said that I'm sick of Tampa. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of Maroon. I'm sick of Perry. I'm sick of all of them. Just end it.
Perry sucks.
Joe Perry sucks for sure. For sure. But I'm going to tell you right now, I look at this game tomorrow night and I say, Toronto wins it. Toronto wins game 5. I want Pete should be on every news outlet there is with that jersey.
It's getting a little bit of attention there, guys. So hopefully I get to wear it for the rest of the series. Then maybe I put it away. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide.
No, you got to bring it back out.
Bring it back. I don't know. I'm not trying to piss off all of Leafs Nation off right now, but I don't know. It is a fun little meme. I'm gonna put it away for Boston and just go from there.
That Boston series will be something. That Boston series will be something because that team is going to be beat up after the Florida series. So I'm hoping Toronto.
Well, we've already seen Bergeron miss a game, right? Krejci was a healthy scratch, right? And I think DeBrusque got messed up pretty good last game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They're not necessarily getting
Allmark
out of that series clean.
Like Allmark too.
Allmark, yeah. Allmark was hurt. Didn't Allmark miss a game too?
He left today's game.
He left early because I think he got kicked out. Tried to fight.
He took his mask off to fight Tkachuk.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess I missed that game. I got watch the highlights of that one.
Here's the thing, and everybody in my lives know this. I've been saying this, and I'll preach this. One thing at a time, one step at a time, one play at a time, one shift at a time, one period at a time. That's the way the Leafs need to keep doing this, and it looks like that's what they're doing. They're not allowing themselves to get too high off a victory or too low off a loss, not too high off a goal, not too high off a goal against, or low off a goal against. So it looks like they're just really, taking everything just like this and breaking it down and doing it right. And I mean, so far it's served them well. But I know we're joking, talking about, hey, the Bruins, but let's not look past the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are a 3-time Cup challenger, 2-time winner for a reason the past 3 years. So, there's no reason to discount them. But I really think this Leafs team got something going on. The last thing I want to ask you guys about, what other series right now that is happening has your attention?
Definitely Edmonton and LA right now. I am excited to watch that. I don't know what the score is right now. I think it started at 9, but I am going to be dialed into that after this pod here. It'll be, man, I know LA's up to 1. If they knock out Edmonton, man, I am so intrigued to see what will happen with that core group, because they're going to make some big changes. So I'm dialed into that series. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I like that series, but go ahead, Clark. I'll give my answer here.
Yeah. For me, it's the Dallas and Minnesota. I think there were 2 really evenly matched teams going into it. Now the series is at 2-2 after today. That's already gone to overtime. So, I just think that that's one of the series. I picked Dallas to go pretty far in my bracket video that I made. So I want to see how they get out of this against Minnesota, because Minnesota is one of those teams where they'll always put up a good fight in the playoffs, regardless of if they win or lose. And then I feel like you're worse off for it in the next round, usually, if you play Minnesota. So it's going to be interesting to see if Dallas can sneak out of that series. It's 2-2, like I said. Going back to Dallas for Game 5, we'll see. I think Dallas has a team that's built to get pretty far in the playoffs, but we'll have to see how Minnesota thinks about that.
My series right now is, I'm loving the Winnipeg-Vegas series. What a battle. These 2 teams go into overtime. Both teams are not liking each other. Lots of physical play, lots of different things going back and forth. I'm loving that series. And I know Vegas is on the run right now, but hey, listen, I want Winnipeg to win because I don't like Vegas. I don't think anybody really likes Vegas, to be honest with you. Getting in the league and doing all the things that they've done so far. Come on now. But anyways, tomorrow night, it's going to be fun. We will be back in your ears tomorrow night after Game 4, seeing what happens between the Bolts and the Leafs. I got the Leafs going up 3-1 in the series, 3-1 in the game. I want to hear it from you too. What is the score, Pete the Heat, tomorrow night?
Give me 4-2, buds. 4-2.
I like it.
Empty netter.
I'm going to go 5-2. I'm going to go a little bit farther than that.
Okay.
I just have a feeling that after what happened, after last game's finish, of course, obviously it ending with a last-minute goal and then an overtime loss for Tampa. And then all the shenanigans that went into that game. That's one of those games I feel like as a team that's just extremely deflating. And when that happens too, you had the lead for most of the game. There was a lot of effort put into that rough stuff kind of in the middle there. A lot of stuff went on in the third period, a lot of battling, really intense game, and you lost it. It's just one of those games where I wonder if that kind of carries over into the next game, that kind of defeatist mentality, and it's Tampa, so I can't imagine that that's going to last too long. John Cooper is one of the best of the game at manipulating his players' mentalities and attitudes and stuff. So I can't imagine that that's going to creep in too much, but I just wonder if it's going to creep in just enough to allow the Leafs to get off to a bit of a hot start again. And then if that happens, where do those attitudes go from there? If the Leafs get 2 early ones, for example, or something like that, how is that going to affect the rest of the game? So I'll say 5-2, and we're just going to go with it. 5-2.
All right, 5-2. I got 3-1 for the Leafs. Pete's got 4-2 with an empty netter as well. So listen, tomorrow night, it's going to be the Leafs and the Bolts again. Game 4. Get fired up. I know a bunch of us will be live. It's going to be a great time, but we will be going on after the show, putting on a show for you, Leafs Nation, when the Leafs do pick up the victory. And right now, it's 1-0 LA over the Edmonton Oilers. Let's go, LA Kings, baby. Let's make some Edmonton fans angry. But hey, Leafs Nation, you know what it is around here. This is Offside Hockey Talk, where the Maple Leafs and hockey come to talk.